In this video, I will be evaluating Priceline's terms and conditions. Priceline is an American third-party company who sells travel-related services such as hotels, airfare, and car rentals at supplier discount. It does not supply these services itself, but rather is a pool of other related service providers offering discounts for such services. I will be evaluating sections 1A through S, General Terms and Conditions. Section A, Arbitration and Dispute. This section begins with disputes and arbitrations. Basically, this section gets right to the point of how Priceline will handle any lawsuits against them. It asks the user to give Priceline the opportunity to resolve any issues they may have, and they are bound to the laws and provisions of the state of Connecticut, where their headquarters are located. It discloses that there's a statute of limitations and that the user has up to 2 years from service to dispute. Additionally, all claims are to be made as small claims courts, and Priceline is protected against any class action lawsuits. Section B, Copyright Infringement. This section deals with Priceline's intellectual property. Basically, all information on the site, such as images, videos, music, logos, etc., are property of Priceline. Any unauthorized use of said information is subject to the U.S. Copyright Act of 1976. Section C, Trademark Notice. This section deals with Priceline's trademarks such as Name Your Price, Express Deals, Priceline Negotiator, etc. It states here that these trademarks are not to be construed as an endorsement or sponsorship of the Priceline site. Section D, Acceptable Use and License. This section basically states that the user is to use the site for its intended purpose and nothing outside of that. It also somewhat asks the user to be diligent in reporting any inappropriate use, defamation, or libel of the site. Section E, Accounts, Security, and Passwords. This section states that upon registering with the site, the user's personal information is obtained and it's up to the user to keep that information up to date and secure. Basically, it's not Priceline's fault if you give out or not properly store your account information and someone then uses it. Section F, Privacy Policy. This section states that the user agrees to the site's privacy policy, link attached for review below, and the user finds this policy reasonable and satisfactory. Section G, Disclaimer of Warranties. This section protects the site from liability from any defects in the services its suppliers provide. Section H, No Agency Relationship. Priceline does not agree to act as the user's agent or fiduciary. In other words, the Priceline company doesn't hold any moral or personal responsibility to the user. Section I, Minors. Anyone under 18 years of age are not permitted to use the site. Section J, General Limitation of Liability. Because Priceline deals with third-party vendors to supply services to their users, it can pose a liability if said third party falls short in providing the service in any way. This section protects the site from any damages incurred to the user by the third-party participants. Section K, Indemnification and Chargebacks. Basically, this section states that the user will defend Priceline and their suppliers or third parties if there were a case brought against them as a direct result of the user's breach of contract to this agreement, specifically to the above section, General Limitation of Liability. Section L, Third Parties. Speaking of third parties, this section covers the use of user using the site for anyone other than themselves, such as an assistant booking a service on the site for their boss. Priceline is not liable for any incorrect information provided. Section M, User Comments, Feedback, and Other Submissions. This section basically states that any content posted any social media platform or any online website in regards to Priceline is subject to Priceline's copyrights. In other words, a user shall not post any copyrighted comments, images, videos, etc., and expect compensation for such. Section N, Response to Requests. This section states that although Priceline will be diligent in responding to any requests by the user, the site is not to be held liable if such request is not made to the user's satisfaction. Section O, Links to other websites and services. This section states that Priceline's links may be outside of the site itself and is in no way to be held liable or responsible for the accuracy, completeness, timeliness, reliability, or availability of such links. Section P, Modification or termination of usage. Priceline has the right to terminate anything on the site and any user account if they deem necessary. Section Q, Electronic Notification. Priceline has the right to contact user by means that the user provides via their account registration or by any site portals. Section R, International Use. In some countries, the information and services that Priceline offers may not be lawful. Therefore, Priceline is not responsible for any lawful use of its site outside of the U.S. And lastly, Section S, Hyperlinks. Priceline states here that any hyperlinks to the site are not permitted unless user is authorized by the site to do so. So there it is, Priceline's terms and conditions in a nutshell. Now let's answer some questions. Is this a valid contract? According to Forbes, a valid contract consists of two key elements. One, that all parties are in agreement, and two, something of value has been exchanged. Therefore, Priceline's contract is valid because they are providing a service to the user and the user agrees to Priceline's terms and conditions. The user cannot submit their purchase before agreeing to the terms and conditions. Are visitors bound to it, or should they have to click I agree? Visitors are bound to the contract upon clicking agree, so long as the user had reasonable notice and an opportunity to read it. In other words, Priceline has an I agree checkbox that must be checked before completing a purchase. There are links to their terms and conditions and privacy policy right there for the user to review. Therefore, Priceline has given the user reasonable notice and an opportunity to read the contracts. However, even if the user doesn't actually read them, the user is still legally bound to them because they clicked I agree, and it's assumed that the user has been informed. If I had a dispute with Priceline, can I sue them? Of course, but within reason. In Section A, the very first section, it states off the bat that the user can file a claim in small claims court after Priceline has had a reasonable attempt to solving the issue without the user's satisfaction. It also states here that Priceline is protected against any class action lawsuits and that issues must be resolved in small claims courts or arbitration. Additionally, in Section B, there's a statute of limitation to filing a claim. The user has up to 2 years from date of initial service to file a claim against Priceline. And are there any changes that I would recommend? As in most of these big company contracts, they're pretty much covered all bases here. Therefore, from my layman's point of view, I honestly don't have any further recommendations. I believe that Priceline has covered all applicable areas of concern regarding their brand and the services they provide. Thanks for watching.